Hello, it's midday. Good afternoon and welcome to 12 Live here on Class 91.3 FM in Accra and our affiliates across the country. If you're listening in the Volta region, this is Ho FM 92.5, Dagban FM 102.5 is also picking the bulletin live in Tamale. We are live on Radio War 92.1 in the Upper East, Upper West region. We are also live on Radio Power 96 in Spain and around the world. Join us, classfmonline.com. Coming up, university administrators hold emergency meetings across the country to consider education minister's proposal to suspend their ongoing strike.
So all our local branches will be having an emergency meeting today. On my close of day, we expect all the local branches to have an emergency meeting, and then we will submit our report to the minister.
Meanwhile, TUC is set to resume talks with government this week in an attempt to resolve outstanding concerns affecting educational workers.
And they have agreed to meet us within the course of the week and also subsequently next week. So we want to start those processes and see how the outcome will come. So we are still in that line.
Minority demands answers over alleged 22 billion Ghana cedi losses linked to domestic gold purchase program.
So they must account for the 22 billion losses. It amounts to causing financial loss to the state, and Gold Board is responsible for causing financial loss to the state.
Also coming up, lawyer for former Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority, Mustafa Abdul Hamid, pushes back at the Deputy Attorney General, stressing that Constitution guarantees the speedy trial of all cases and not selected cases.
The expedited justice that is being spoken about in the Constitution is talking about all other cases, not only selective cases. You understand what I'm talking about? It is true that the Constitution talks about expeditious trials that will actually lead to acquittal or conviction.
Details as the Accra High Court stays proceedings in a trial involving Mustafa Abdul Hamid and 7 others pending the decision of the Supreme Court. Still in the bulletin, Seed Council intensified clampdown on uncertified seed dealers.
That prescribes the selling of uncertified, such that if you sell any uncertified seed that is not approved by law, that is not certified, you can be arrested, prosecuted, jailed, or even fined.
Still to come, Ghana Police Service re-announces viral flyer claiming drivers and motorcyclists using airports or earphones will be arrested and face up to 2 years in prison.
Later in the bulletin, Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly warns transport operators against charging unapproved fares.
Who said the nipa at fame and I station myself for the vet town. In the Huchre, upon a capre. In the Madahora Mobile.
For any hype because first no could be 6 hours, but be 3 million. 6 hours, 6 million, 7 million.
And in African news, Zambia's Chilelema re-elected president as main rival continues to be in hiding over alleged threats. So this is 12 Live on Class 91.3 FM. My name is Nana Ajuman Prempe and I'm with
Veronica Amade.
Now to our very first story. Emergency meetings are being held across the local branches of the Ghana Association of University Administrators as members consider the Education Minister's proposal for an end to the ongoing strike. The meetings follow discussions between the association and Education Minister Haruna Idrisu yesterday, where the minister asked the association to call off their strike and return to work. He also offered the association an opportunity to re-engage the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission over its concerns. The Ghana Association of University Administrators, however, requested 48 hours to consult its members and constituents before communicating its position to the minister. The association says all its local branches are expected to hold the emergency meetings today and submit their report by close of day. The reports will form the basis of the association's response to the minister on whether to suspend the strike or continue with their industrial action. The association says there was no commitment from the minister on the outcome of any renewed engagement with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. It says a strike is linked to its concerns over disparities in conditions of service and remuneration affecting university administrators, particularly issues surrounding market premiums and related allowances. For now, the strike remains in place as the Ghana Association of University Administrators consults its members, with the association expected to communicate a decision to the Education Minister after the 48-hour consultation period. General Secretary of the association, Charles Adu, spoke with Class News.
The outcome was that we asked the minister to give us 48 hours to revert to him. We have to get in touch with our constituent and then, discuss with them what the minister told us, and we will revert back to the minister within 48 hours. Yes,
Class 91.3 FM.
Work, and then he is opening a window for us to re-engage the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. But there was no commitment. The Fair Wages, there was no commitment anyway, but that avenue was open. So we'll go back to our members, discuss with them that this was what was said by the minister, and we'll revert back to the minister.
Okay, so by tomorrow you would have an answer to whether you're calling off the strike.
So all our local branches will be having an emergency meeting today. Yes. So
what time, please?
On my close of day, we expect all the local branches to have an emergency meeting, and then we will submit our report to the minister.
So you heard the General Secretary of the Ghana Association of University Administrators, Charles Adu. Meanwhile, the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TUC, is expected to resume discussions with government this week as efforts continue to resolve outstanding concerns raised by the union. The development follows a meeting between the union and the Ghana Education Service, as well as an engagement with the Education Minister yesterday. TUC's Deputy General Secretary, Gifty Abner Texan, says the government has agreed to meet the union again this week and subsequently next week to discuss the issues raised. She says the union will assess the outcome of the engagement before deciding on its next steps. TUC says it remains committed to the dialogue as it seeks a resolution to the outstanding concerns affecting its members.
We did engage, and the government side has also engaged us and has some discussions with us, and some dialogue is currently ongoing as to how to resolve the issues that were presented. We have put in one or two issues, and they have agreed to meet us within the course of the week, and also subsequently next week. So we want to start those processes and see how the outcome will come. So we are still in that line. Apart from the Ghana Education Service, we also met the minister yesterday, the Minister of Education. All in the process of the dialogue.
Gifty Abner Texan is the Deputy General Secretary of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TUC. Let's stay a while longer in education because the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education has concluded a 3-day oversight exercise at selected universities, technical universities and professional institutions following concerns raised in the Auditor General's report for the 2024 and 2025 financial years. The committee says its engagement identified concerns including inadequate staffing at information technology directorates, delays in payments to suppliers, payroll irregularities, and underpayment of motorcycle maintenance and utility allowances. The exercise covered several tertiary institutions, including the University of Cape Coast, University for Development Studies, University of Energy and Natural Resources, University of Media, Arts and Communications, University of Professional Studies, and the University of Mines and Technology.
Let's move on to Parliament because the minority in Parliament is demanding answers from the government and the Ghana Gold Board over what it describes as massive financial losses associated with the country's domestic gold purchase program. The minority claims the program generated losses of about $167 million, equivalent to 22 billion in 2025, citing findings contained in the International Monetary Fund's latest assessment of Ghana's economy. Addressing a press conference, the minority leader Alexander Penyomarkin said the figure cannot be dismissed as accounting technicality because, according to the IMF, the losses were largely linked to gold purchasing and trading operations undertaken through the program.
If the IMF is wrong, Why the remedial measures? Why are they taking steps to now say that they are moving away from the original model and now they are doing something new? So they must account for the 22 billion losses. It amounts to causing financial loss to the states, and Gold Board is responsible for causing financial loss to the states. The minority will say this firmly and boldly. It doesn't matter the adjectives you use to attack our personality. We know that a day of reckoning will come. They should remember that post-regime accountability awaits them. 22 billion Ghana cedis in just a year. It's not me, it's not Mama Pat, it's not this handsome man standing behind me, it's not this other handsome man, it's not these handsome men who are saying it. It is the IMF. And government has accepted, conceded that indeed these were huge losses. So why the insult? Pourquoi? Mineo. Egomede. Adena mudidi atem. Makoton gold aboka. I am a force. Sika. Podu eti say 22 billion maboka. Mwama jia tumuse maboka. Ekakasia na mabo Ghana.
Well, you had a minority leader, Alexander Afenyomarkin. Well, let's go on the phone line and speak to our parliamentary correspondent, Zita Okwan. Zita, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, good afternoon, Veronica.
So what more do we know from this conference?
Well, the minority in its press conference also questioned the financial management of the Ghana Gold Board, which it was demanding greater transparency over the financial arrangements underpinning its gold purchasing and trading operations. In today's press conference led by the minority leader, Alexander Afenyomarkin, he argued that the institutions or an institution at the center of the country's gold trade, which is Gold Board, should not be recording significant losses without a clear explanation of how those losses were incurred. He also said that the minority's concerns were basically based on the findings contained in the latest International Monetary Fund reports on Ghana, and were not figures generated by the opposition themselves. According to him, he said that the losses reported could not simply be attributed to market conditions, insisting that the gold trade presents significant opportunities for profitability. And Afenyomarkin also went further to argue that the figures cited by the minority instead raised questions about the management of gold purchasing program and policies governing its operations. He particularly questioned why Gold Board should benefit from transactions-related fees and foreign exchange gains, while losses arising from gold purchases and pricing sales decisions are borne by the Bank of Ghana. And I must say that the minority or the minority leader said that Gold Board must account for both the revenues and costs associated with the transactions it facilitates, stressing that the financial risks of the program should not be separated from the benefits. They are demanding transparency. In the sound we heard, that demanding transparency over the sale of gold of takers, including the identities of buyers and basis of discounts granted and the fee arrangements governing the transaction. They further questioned the level of oversight over Gold Board and called for closer scrutiny of how Ghana's gold resources are being purchased, traded, and then managed. They maintained that the issue was not a personal attack from the minority to the Gold Board officials or any attempt to deny the institution credit for its reported profits, but a matter of public accountability. He further went on to say that their key concern was whether Ghana was receiving value from transactions in which the Bank of Ghana provided financial and ultimately carried the financial risk. So the minority therefore called on the Gold Board and the government to provide clear answers on the structure of the transactions and explain why losses arising from the country's gold trading operations should be transferred to the central bank, ultimately borne by the taxpayer, Veronica.
Thank you, Zita. You heard my parliamentary correspondent, Zita Okwan, who was live at the press conference today. Let's do some other stories.
Right, so a lawyer for former Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority, Mustafa Abdul Hamid Joseph Bemka, has described as erroneous comments by Deputy Attorney General Justice Rimsai that the Constitution allows for the speedy trial of cases. He argues that the Constitution does not permit the expedited trial of selected cases, but rather requires the speedy determination of every case before the courts. Speaking to Joy News at the Accra High Court, the former Deputy Attorney General said Justice Rimsai's comments on PM Express have vindicated their position that there is selective justice.
The expedited justice that is being spoken about in the Constitution is talking about all other cases, not only selective cases. You understand what I'm talking about? It is true that the Constitution talks about expeditious trials that will actually lead to acquittal or conviction. But then it doesn't say that you should select cases and do expeditious trial. It doesn't say so. So that expedition is talking about must be across board. If we as a nation will want to actually achieve speedy justice, it must be across board. All matters must be expeditiously tried, not selected cases. So that is where, again, he gets it wrong. Because if you are saying that expedition is actually in the Constitution, yes, I agree. But does it say that you should select some cases and expeditiously try them? Or it says you should expeditiously try all cases? That's the fundamental thing that one ought to know. So I think that he got it wrong there and ought to have actually said it as it were, that expeditious trial is necessary, but in all cases, not selected matters.
He also said that although he does not want to prejudice the injunction application filed by Ofosu Ayerbi, a member of Parliament, Oye Walton Ankrah, before the Supreme Court challenging the continuation of trials during the legal vacation, he is convinced the court will grant the reliefs being sought.
The application for an order of interlocutory injunction is at the discretion of the judge, looking at the entire circumstances of each matter. So the question fundamentally that the courts now answer is whether, looking at the entire circumstances of the matter, a particular party will suffer considerably over the other if the application is granted or refused. That's the basis now. There are quite a number of reasons for the grant, but the basis now is whether a party will suffer irreparably in the event of the grant or refusal to grant. So the matter has been canvassed before the Supreme Court, and I do not want to take a position that will prejudice whatever the court is likely to say, except to add that the appropriate thing has been done by the court, adjourning to await the outcome, because clearly the warrant that was issued by the Chief Justice has been challenged at the Supreme Court. And not only that, not only the pending writ, but also the application for interlocutory injunction. So, yes, I will not be able to give you straight yes or no to whatever you're talking about. I will not be able to tell you that this is going to be the outcome, because that will be sub judice, and I'll be reading the minds of the Supreme Court. But we are confident that whatever processes have been filed before the court will be upheld to guide all of us into the future.
So he had lawyer for former Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority, Mustafa Abdul Hamid Joseph Bemka. Meanwhile, the Accra High Court has adjourned proceedings in the high-profile case involving former CEO of NPA, Mustafa Abdul Hamid, and 7 others to August 27, following an injunction application filed by Ofosu Ayerbi, Member of Parliament, Oye Walton Ankrah, challenging the directive issued by the Chief Justice for selected courts to continue trials during the legal vacation. The NPA case becomes the latest to be halted by the injunction application after proceedings in the Buffer Stock and National Signals Bureau cases were also stayed yesterday.
Let's move to security because the Ghana Police Service is cautioning the public against a fake flyer circulating on social media, which claims that the use of airports, earphones, or other audio devices while driving or riding is prohibited by law. The fake publication, which bears the name and logo of the Ghana Police Service, claims offenders will be arrested, prosecuted, and could face up to 2 years in prison. But the police service says it did not issue or authorize the flyer, describing the publications as false. The service says its cybercrime unit is working to trace those behind the publication while urging the public to rely on official police channels for information on road traffic regulations. The police have, however, reminded the road users to avoid any activity or device that could distract them or compromise their attention and awareness while on the road. We have more in this report.
The Ghana Police Service has urged the public to disregard a fake flyer circulating on social media claiming that motorists and motorcyclists who use AirPods, earphones or other audio devices while driving or riding will be arrested and prosecuted. The police service says the flyer was neither issued nor authorized by the service, and its cybercrime unit is working to trace those behind the publication. The fake flyer, which bears the name of the Ghana Police Service, claims that the use of AirPods, earphones, or any form of audio device while riding or driving is strictly prohibited, with offenders facing arrest, prosecution, and up to 2 years in prison. But the police say the claim is false. The service has, however, cautioned motorists and other road users against activities or devices that may distract them or compromise their attention, hearing, control of their vehicle, or awareness of surrounding traffic. It is urging motorists, motorcyclists, and other road users to familiarize themselves with and comply fully with the Road Traffic Regulations 2026 LI 2519 and other applicable road traffic laws. The police service is also urging the public to rely on its official communication channels for accurate information on road traffic regulations and other public safety matters.
And that was a News Desk report.
Right now, let me take you to the Savannah region because the National Seed Council has intensified regulatory enforcement in the seed sector, warning that dealers who sell uncertified seeds risk arrest, prosecution, fines, and imprisonment as authorities move to protect farmers and safeguard Ghana's food security. Director of the Presidential Initiatives in Agriculture and Agribusiness at the Office of the President and member of the Ghana Seed Council, Peter Boama Otukono, issued the warning at a stakeholder engagement in Damago in the Savannah region. He said the council is working to ensure farmers have access to certified and quality seeds while strengthening monitoring systems for seed producers, breeders and input dealers across the country. He also expressed concern about poor storage, transportation and handling practices, noting that they can significantly reduce seed germination capacity and ultimately affect farmers' yield.
And you may go to jail or be fined some penalty units if you are found culpable. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not know this. And so perhaps let's use the opportunity to let Ghanaians know that there's a law that prescribes the selling of uncertified, such that if you sell any uncertified seed that is not approved by law, that is not certified, you can be arrested, prosecuted, jailed, or even fined. I think it's about some penalty units. I don't readily have it up, but it's a criminal offense that can send you to jail. Agriculture challenge, particularly when it comes to the crop sector, suffers on these three challenging pillars, and that is affordability, availability, and quality. Whilst the National Seed Council looks at the quality and all that, and even the availability, and maybe regulating the affordability also. What we have seen is that the input dealers at the various areas, they do not miss the timing of the season.
So you had Peter Boama Otukuno, who is the director of the Presidential Initiatives in Agriculture and Agribusiness at the Office of the President, and also a member of the Ghana Seed Council. The Savannah Regional Director of Agriculture, Seydou Sulemana, is also calling for the re-establishment of a dedicated seeding processing facility in the region to ease the burden and cost of transporting seeds to Tamale. He further urged authorities to intensify monitoring of unapproved seeds and agrochemicals while promoting affordable and climate-suitable seed varieties for farmers in the Savannah ecological zone.
Spraying these chemicals, so it is very, very, very dangerous, and I would like to draw the attention of our seed dealers. But these are very, very serious and dangerous things that we have to take note of, because if you take this land and you have to spray condemn or glyphosate 10 times or 5 times within the next 4 or 5 years, that land cannot utilize. So this is a very, very dangerous thing that we have, and I would like to draw the attention of some of our input and seed dealers.
Seydou Sulemana is the Savannah Regional Director of Agriculture. Veronica, I have some stories coming in from the Ashanti region.
Yeah, so
Tell us more.
Okay, so the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly KMA has warned transport union station executives and drivers against charging passengers unapproved transport fares in the Kumasi metropolis. In a statement issued on August 17, 2026, the Assembly described the practice as illegal and highly unacceptable and directed transport operators to immediately desist from charging fares that have not been approved by the relevant authorities. The KMA says it has received reports of illegal transport fares being charged at various stations within the metropolis, prompting the Assembly to take enforcement measures to address the situation. According to the statement, KMA Enforcement Task Force will soon visit various transport unions and stations to ensure that operators comply with the approved fares and other regulations.
Ufle kwa CCD CC ekọ ACDs aplomasi guys carry there enye na ame atu fuel cause wa ba no fuel na ye be ya toli 60 CDs CC ebulu be 80 CDs ese pass work apply be yan no na ese akodi
no for first part na 5 cedi ana buy petrol so diesel so ana me at 50 pesos he says what two mark bro the first part ya no and am here the 50 pesos na so ma for 5 cedi atosu 5 cedi so fuel no first part price no you see I bro the na ya so yes ya nya hwe.
Well, you have some drivers at the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. And so let's do some other stories still in Ashanti region, because tanker drivers in the Ashanti region have resumed work after suspending their sit-down strike over alleged discrepancies in fuel measurement at the Bost Castle Depot in Kumasi. The Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union called off the strike following an emergency meeting with Bost management, which committed to resolving the drivers' concerns within 1 week. The drivers had complained about faulty discharge meters, inadequate parking facilities, and other operational challenges which they say have resulted in financial losses and safety concerns. The strike had affected drivers in the Ashanti, Bono, Ahafo, and Western North regions. The drivers have, however, warned that they could resume the strike if the concerns are not addressed within the agreed time frame. National Vice Chairman of the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union, Sandy Alabi, has been speaking.
Right, so we bring that down shortly, but let's do some African news. And Zambia's president Hakainde Hichilema has been re-elected for a second 5-year term after securing a 60% share of the vote. The Electoral Commission has announced Hichilema's win was widely expected, with his closet challenger Brian Mundubile getting 38% of the votes cast. The remaining 12 candidates trailed far behind. The result came after a contested process, with 55-year-old Mundubile earlier claiming victory and alleging, without proving evidence, that there had been voting irregularities. His party, the NRPUP, told the BBC that Mundubile was in a secure location and that the protection of an international human rights body due to threats made against him. Local media reported that Mundubile and his running mate Makibe Zulu had gone into self-imposed exile at a UN agency in the capital Lusaka, fearing arrest. So that's it for 12 Live today on Class 91.3 FM. The news was coming to you live from here, Class 91.3 FM, and our affiliates across the world. For more news